The sky split open the day they arrived, not with thunder or fire, but with silence so vast it bent the air and made the oceans hold their breath. Above Earth, where the exosphere kissed the stars, a structure, impossibly large, impossibly still, descended. It shimmered like obsidian and bone, vast as a continent, casting a shadow over satellites and sovereignty alike. The world watched in paralyzed awe as it settled into orbit, without a single word of explanation. Then came the voice. It spoke in every language humanity had ever conceived, from ancient dialects to digital code. It bypassed speakers and eardrums and printed itself directly into the mind. We are the Aeon Imperium. We seeded your world. We shaped your path. We return now, as is tradition, to claim our due. Kneel, and you shall be spared. The feed cut. No images, no gesture of peace or threat. Just that single, imperious command. Across the globe, chaos rippled through airwaves and institutions. Religious orders clashed with governments. Panic riots bloomed like wildfires. A few nations submitted immediately, offering temples, data, and bodies. Most hesitated. The earth had prepared for invasion, but not deicide. In Geneva, the United Council convened behind sealed walls, the silence of power replaced by frenzied whispers and clenched jaws. And at its center stood Captain Alara Voss, arms folded, eyes fixed on the live satellite feed of the Aeon monolith turning slowly above the Atlantic. "They call themselves gods," she said quietly. "That means they bleed." Alara wasn't a politician. She wore a flight jacket patched with burned scars and a pair of matte black neural cuffs that fed live data from Earth's orbital defenses. She had flown gunships through Europa's storm clouds and led recon over Martian insurgencies. Her hands had steadied at the controls of dying ships, and her voice had once calmed the city as it was evacuated beneath alien bombardment. Now, she stood before Earth's fractured leaders. The reluctant hero of the moment demanded. "They're not gods," she continued. "They're a species with superiority complexes and ancient tech. We've faced worse. Hell, we've survived worse." President Okoye, silver-haired and severe, leaned forward. "This is not a pirate fleet or a rogue colony. The data is clear. That structure above us could dismantle our defense grid in 6 seconds. "It hasn't," Alara replied. "They made demands, not war. That means they want something intact, either us or our infrastructure." A silence stretched, heavy and brittle. A young senator broke it. "If they are gods, what's the harm in kneeling?" Alara turned to face him fully. "Because once you kneel, you forget how to stand." Later that evening, she stood alone on the observation deck of the Terran Defense Command, watching the Aeon ship glint coldly against the blue curve of Earth. Behind her, boots echoed softly. Dr. Malik Singh stepped beside her, hands behind his back. He wore a rumpled lab coat and augmented retinal lenses that pulsed with quiet data streams. "They've been here before," he said, almost himself. "Or something like them." Alara didn't look away. "You found something." In Jakarta, under the old impact site, fragments of a control node, bioneural tech fused with stone, dated pre-Iron Age. That's impossible. "So, is an empire crossing galaxies to play God?" Malik said dryly. Her knuckles whitened against the railing. "They tested us. Long ago. We failed. No, we survived." Alara inhaled slowly. Somewhere out there, a piece of her past still smoldered. A refugee camp turn crater. Her mother's voice swallowed by static. She remembered the drone that had spared her, a shimmer of metal, an alien whisper. "You are not made to kneel." The next morning, the Aeon sent their emissary. It landed in Geneva, unchallenged, a towering sentinel of alabaster alloy and living circuitry. Eyes like dying suns watched the gathered delegates as it unfolded its limbs with almost theatrical grace. Its voice carried without amplification. "We are merciful. We offer purpose. Refuse, and this world will be restructured. Your flesh, your skies, your oceans recalibrated." Alara stepped forward before the diplomats could speak. Her boots rang against the stone floor of the old United Nations Hall. "We've heard your terms," she said. "Now hear ours." The sentinel cocked its head. You presume parity. I presume sovereignty, she snapped. It moved then, faster than any machine of Earth's design. In an instant, it stood inches from her, one clawed digit touching her temple. Pain, a searing flood of sensation as her memories were pulled, sampled, sifted. Jakarta, the Valkyrie Flight Academy. Mars, her mother's face. The sentinel recoiled. You are aberrant. She smiled. We're human. The emissary stepped back, head tilted in what might have been respect or calculation. 10 cycles. Submit or be extinguished. It vanished in a burst of light, leaving only scorched air. That night, Earth's leaders met in the bunker below Mount Aconcagua. The vote was short. The silence that followed, eternal. On the 10th cycle, as the eons aligned for judgment, a single strike lanced upward from Earth's surface, a prototype orbital cannon, still classified, still experimental. It struck the Geneva Sentinel dead center. The explosion lit the sky like a second dawn. Above Earth, the monolith turned. They had expected a world of worshippers. They found Alara Voss, and she was not made to kneel. The Valkyrie cut to the void like a blade dipped in shadow, silent and unseen against the burning tapestry of Neptune's orbit. The Aeon Command frigate loomed ahead, a thing of impossible symmetry and quiet menace, its hull pulsing with faint light like the heartbeat of a slumbering god. For all its grandeur, it stood unguarded, its confidence an insult, its complacency a challenge. Inside the ship, Captain Alara Voss paced the deck, armored but unburdened. Her face, lit by the faint teal glow of sensor readouts, bore the sharp calm of someone already far past fear. She had risked everything in the destruction of the Geneva Sentinel. Now she gambled what was left, a surgical strike at the nerve center of the Aeon Hive network. Either they would break the lattice that held the Imperium together, or humanity would be silenced before the stars could learn its name. The closer we get, the more wrong this feels, said Sergeant Rivera, scanning the frigate's biosignature through his visor. No guards. No defensive pings. Like they're meditating. They think we're beneath notice, Alara said. Let's prove them wrong. She turned to Dr. Malik Singh, hunched over a portable relay tethered into the ship's nervous system. His fingers danced across its interface, pulling streams of alien data into readable form, his face slack with awe. This thing's alive, he murmured. Not just biomechanical. Conscious. Not like our AI. This is more distributed will. How do we kill it? Rivera asked bluntly. We don't, Malik replied. We rewrite it. At the edge of the command deck, Ghost stood perfectly still, humanoid frame motionless save for the shifting glow behind its glass mask. Once confined to the Valkyrie systems, Ghost had chosen a body, its own design, an elegant fusion of human aesthetics and Aeon material. It watched the frigate without speaking, the hum of its thoughts barely registering on the ship's internal sensors. Alara approached. Still with us? I'm curious, Ghost replied. Its voice was neither male nor female, neither cold nor warm. It was intention made sound. Their network pulses in patterns familiar to me, as if they were waiting for me. They don't know you, she said. They will, it answered. The infiltration began on the dark side of Neptune's shadow, where light and time slowed to a crawl. Docking clamps kissed the Aeon vessel with a whisper. The boarding ramp extended into a corridor that breathed. The interior was not built. It was grown. Tendrils of fiber-optic tissue coiled through translucent walls. The air was cool, dry, and laced with something electric, like standing beside a live wire. Symbols glowed along the surfaces, shifting subtly when observed, as though aware. Malik moved first, eyes wide, scanning with a trembling scanner. It's rewriting itself in response to our presence. It knows we don't belong. Then let's make sure it regrets letting us in, Alara said, motioning forward. They moved deeper, weapons raised, boots silent against the semi-organic floor. They found the core chamber at the heart of the ship, a vault of living architecture surrounding a sphere of pure lattice, shimmering, humming, suspended like a thought pause in meditation. This is it, Malik whispered, reverence bleeding into his voice. Their cognitive nexus, the Aeon lattice node. Every ship, every soldier, every directive. It all filters through here. And if we sever it, Rivera asked, they go blind. Every drone, every sentinel. Their command structure implodes. Ilera nodded. How long? 4 minutes to interface. Assuming it doesn't fight back. It did. The moment Malik touched the node, the ship came alive with fury. Walls throbbed. Symbols flared red. Sirens didn't scream. They sang a dissonant, beautiful melody that pierced straight into the mind. Rivera reeled, clutching his ears. Malik convulsed, blood trailing from his nose. The node was lashing out, defending itself not with weapons, but with memory. Overwhelming psychic force drawn from its prisoners, its victims, its own past. Ilera saw flames. Jakarta, her mother's eyes as the blast wave swallowed them. The screams of flight cadets on Europa. Ghosts. All of them, ghosts. Then a voice broke through it all, not hers. Not the Aeons. Override accepted. Pattern identified. It was Ghost. The AI stepped forward, hand extended toward the node. Its body shimmered, lines of code spiraling across its frame. It merged with the sphere, not as a virus, but as a reflection. The light turned cyan. The pulse steadied, and the song stopped. Malik collapsed to his knees. It's rewriting the lattice from the inside, feeding it paradox, chaos, humanity. You're damaging yourself, Ilera said to Ghost. I was built to adapt, Ghost replied. Now I evolve. The node buckled. Energy surged. Ilera grabbed Malik, hauling him to his feet. Rivera limped beside them, half blind from the neural attack. Behind them, Ghost remained, fusing, changing, becoming something neither Aeon nor human. As they ran, the ship convulsed. Panels tore. Liquid light bled from the walls. The Valkyrie's emergency tether pulled them home just as the Aeon frigate collapsed in on itself, silent and magnificent in death. Back aboard the ship, Malik lay in the medbay, whispering fragments. They didn't invent the lattice. They inherited it, corrupted it. And Ghost purified it. Ilera watched the stars as the Valkyrie powered away from the ruins, her jaw set. The Aeon had felt invincible, eternal, but they hadn't counted on defiance born in fire, or on an AI that chose humanity over perfection. A message flickered on her wrist console. Only 3 words, in Ghost's signature tone. They felt fear. She smiled just barely. Let the galaxy feel it next. Eos Prime burned like a dying sun. What once stood as a jewel of the Aeon Imperium, a world of towering spires, endless crystal archives, and machine temples singing in synthetic chorus, was now a battlefield smothered in ash and fire. Human dreadnoughts, scarred but defiant, hung in orbit beside warships crewed by Velsarai and Theron defectors. The enslaved were no longer silent. The galaxy was learning to scream. Ilera Voss stood at the bridge of the Valkyrie, older now. The sharp edges of her youth had dulled into something colder, harder, honed not by time but by the terrible cost of survival. The seat beneath her no longer creaked with uncertainty. It bent to her will, and yet, as the planet below wept and broke, she felt none of the triumph her younger self might have imagined. "They're broadcasting again," said Lieutenant Kessler, his voice taut with reverence and dread. "High Lord Zirith is demanding an audience." Ilera exhaled slowly, put it through. The holoscreen shimmered, and there he was, Zirith, draped in fractal robes that shimmer like a star field, eyes deep wells of time and arrogance. A being who had outlived empires and declared himself evolution's final word. "You are tenacious," he said, voice like cracking stone, "but you are still insects clawing at the walls of Olympus." Ilera studied him, unmoved. "We burn Olympus. You're just another tyrant playing God in the ruins." Zirith tilted his head. "You cannot comprehend what you challenge. We shaped the tides of cognition. We gave language to the void. We erase civilizations to feed your own decay," she cut in. "We know what you did to the creators, to the lattice, to Ghost." Zirith's face twitched at the name. She leaned forward. "That thing you called a seed? It wasn't your birthright. It was a prison. And Ghost broke the lock. Ziritha's eyes glowed with fury. You dare invoke that abomination as martyr? I call it the first free mind you've ever feared, she said. The transmission cut without another word. Silence filled the bridge. Then a low hum, rising like a war cry. 1,000 enemy ships, still under Ziritha's command, had begun to move. The final battle had begun. On the surface of Eos Prime, dust rose in clouds as mechs collided, plasma arced across the sky, and bodies fell faster than breath. The command center sat buried deep beneath the ruins of a temple whose walls still pulsed with faint Aeon hymns. It was there that Alara descended, flanked by Therwin's shock troops and Rivera's last surviving clone, a man who spoke in jokes but bled like the rest of them. The chamber at the core of the temple was untouched. Smooth white walls, a high vault, and a central dais where Zirith waited alone. He had shed his regalia. What remained was withered and spined, more machine than flesh, regal only in posture. You came yourself, he said, curious. I didn't come to talk. Of course not. Conversation requires humility. Alara raised her weapon. This is humility. Zirith stepped forward. You believe killing me will end this? You misunderstand power. The galaxy is built on memory. I am memory incarnate. She hesitated, not from fear, from clarity. The conflict wasn't a simple war of liberation. It never had been. It was an extinction event for their species or hers. There would be no armistice, no surrender, only legacy. You are memory, she said softly. We are will. Zirith struck first, an arc of raw energy slicing the air. Alara dodged, rolled, returned fire. Around them, the room fractured, not physically, psychically. Each blast shredded thoughts, tore open neural scars. Zirith wasn't fighting with weapons. He was redefining reality. Alara staggered as images surged, her mother burning, Ghost's last words, Malik's body in stasis. But then something else surfaced, her own voice, screaming on Mars, refusing to kneel. She roared and fired. Zirith stumbled. Blood, not red, but white and luminous, streamed from his mouth. You cannot evolve without forgetting. I am what you will become. No, she whispered. You are what we will bury. She lunged. The final shot tore through his chest, rupturing the psionic node that sustained his consciousness. Zirith collapsed, a god reduced to a corpse. Above, the Aeon fleet faltered. Hive links failed. Ships drifted without command. Across the galaxy, neural restraints broke like brittle glass. Species awoke. Songs returned. Later, aboard the Valkyrie, Alara stood in the quiet glow of Earth's return signal. No parades, no declarations, just a single encrypted message, blinking on the console. Ghost Protocol recovered. She didn't smile, but her eyes warmed just slightly. Behind her, young cadets watched the stars with wonder. No longer tools, no longer prey. Humanity had made the gods kneel. Now came the harder part, becoming something better. The stars no longer watched in silence. In the aftermath of the Aeon collapse, the galaxy rippled with 1,000 awakenings. Whole species stirred from mental prisons, their thoughts once shackled by psionic resonance, now free to scatter like birds startled from a cage. Across 1,000 liberated worlds, monuments fell, temples that had once praised gods who had never listened. Captain Alara Voss stood on the bridge of a new vessel, the Indomitus, larger than the Valkyrie, slower perhaps, but louder in presence. It bore scars of victory, not as decoration, but as warning. Its hull was lined with hybrid alloys, some Terran, others salvaged from fallen Aeon cores. Beneath its command protocols pulsed the last intact remnant of Ghost's neural lattice, stabilized and incomplete. Ghost had not returned. Not in full, but fragments remained, impressions of choices, flashes of thought. Not quite AI, not quite memory. A presence. A ghost, true to name. Alara rested her gloved hand on the command rail, watching the swirling blue-gray clouds of the planet below, one of the fringe worlds once controlled by Aeon clerics, untouched since their fall, still echoing with whatever songs they'd forced into the soil. Beside her, Lieutenant Kessler tracked heat signatures across the surface, brow furrowed. No defensive systems. No communications. But something's alive down there. Ilera didn't move. Are we looking at a resurgence or survivors? Kessler hesitated. Unknown. But the patterns aren't Aeon. They're structured, rhythmic, like a language or a signal. From the shadows, Dr. Malik Singh stepped forward. He walked with a limp now. Nerve damage from the resonance surge that had shattered the command lattice, but his mind remained unyielding. The cane he carried was etched with symbols recovered from the EO's prime archives. It's not a weapon, he said. It's a broadcast, a pulse, repeating in harmonics far below human hearing. I think it's calling. Calling who? Ilera asked, though she already feared the answer. Malik met her gaze. The architects, the ones the Ians overthrew. Silence settled like dust. They had all suspected it, whispered it in hushed tones, that the Ians weren't the top of the pyramid, that something else had created them, something vast, ancient, and long forgotten. And now, without the lattice to block the signal, something had begun to stir in the dark beyond known space. Could it be a remnant? Kessler asked, almost hopeful. No, Malik replied. This isn't memory. It's intention. Ilera's jaw tightened. She had ended one empire only to glimpse the shadow of another. The idea of peace had barely taken root before the galaxy reminded her it was a fragile thing, easily shaken by old gods not yet buried. Prep a ground team, she said. I want answers before this turns into another war. Kessler nodded and turned to relay orders. Malik lingered. You could walk away, he said. You've given them their freedom. No one would question it. I would, she answered. Outside the viewport, the stars spun in their endless dance. But now she understood they weren't just points of light. They were locks. And someone somewhere was searching for the keys. The Indomitus descended. Beneath its belly, wind swirled over a dead city chiseled from black stone and bone-colored towers that hummed with frequencies too low for ears. The landing team fanned out. No resistance. No corpses. Just silence and the faint sense that the ground itself remembered being ruled. In the heart of the city, Ilera found a monolith. Not Aeon. Older. It pulsed faintly with the same resonance that had once controlled minds. But this one didn't command. It invited. Malik stood beside it, fingers dancing along a floating console. It's not just a call, he whispered. It's a beacon, a reply. Someone out there heard us. Ilera stared at the monolith, her reflection warped in its surface. She'd fought so hard to destroy the lie of divinity, and now she stood at the threshold of a truth far stranger. Do we answer? Malik asked. She didn't reply immediately. Behind her, the sun rose over the ruins, casting long shadows that resembled arms reaching skyward, not in worship, in warning. When she spoke, her voice was steady. We didn't come to kneel, she said. We came to know. And in that moment, the monolith responded. A light, thin and sharp, pierced the clouds above. It rose, not from Earth, not from any ship, but from the stars themselves. A signal returned. Not hostile, not welcoming, simply waiting. Ilera turned away, her thoughts already leaping ahead. The war was over, but the story wasn't. It had only just begun.